So, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Pit Yak a Crack. I've got my co-host here, Stuart Brightwell. I'm Sonny Brightwell, and today we've got a special guest. We've got a lad who played over 600 games, professional games, goal scorer and midfielder. Really, really good career. Welcome, Tommy Miller.
Lads, how are you doing?
Welcome, Tom.
Right.
Very good, Tom. Very good. Thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate it, mate.
No problem whatsoever. No problem whatsoever.
Stu, do you want to get going?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, it's been a while since I think our last get together was a Shotton Boys reunion at Pt1. So it's good to see you again, Tom. Yeah, so for me, kind of the early years, really. So what was life for you growing up in Shotton Colliery, where you were born?
It was great. You know, I had a great upbringing with my mum and dad. My dad was a local copper, so he got a bit of stick as well. And I used to get a bit of stick. And my mum worked at Home Fair Blinds, which was a local blind shop in Shotton. And it was great. You know, I had some great mates there. It was a thriving community, really, at the time.
Yeah.
And you know, you never forget your roots, as they say, and I never have, and still don't.
With that, how do you think, like, the Pit Village kind of era of that time kind of shaped you and your kind of growing up and what you were going to become, really?
Yeah, I think, you've got to be mentally strong. And I think I was, you know, there were some tough moments, don't get me wrong. You know, there's some dodgy characters as well in Shotton, but yeah, you sort of know who to deal with, you know, and know who to keep away from. But I'm not saying them lads are wrong, you know, it's just the way things work.
Yeah.
I think every sort of community, every village had it, and Shotton was no different.
Yeah, definitely.
We were easing to New Shotton, but they were both collieries, you know, they were both pit villages. And we were at the back end of them being pit villages, weren't we? The pit closed before we could have went down there. But there was still like a spirit one. There was still, you grew up being a Shottoner or an Easingtoner, didn't you? You know what I mean? You were proud to be like from your pit village, weren't you?
Yeah, definitely.
And that's God, I mean, I don't know the last time we were over Shotton, Tom, but I drive over to Easington every now and again, and it's just horrible. Like
it's totally different. I drive there quite a lot, you know, and I'll drive through and I'll sort of go down memory lane a little bit. Yeah. I used to grow up and I'd drive around streets and I'm like looking and I'm thinking it's changed completely. And what you find now is it's not people from Shotton. You know, whereas back in the day it was born and bred, you know, everyone knew each other, the surnames, there was families. Now it's different people in there, and it's a shame, really.
Yeah,
there's a lot of shops boarded up where you used to go as a kid, and it's a real shame.
There's actually a hotel on the end of your old street.
There is.
It's in
the Albert. Yeah, it used to be known as the Albert, and I think there's all sorts of characters in there at the minute, which, listen, it's not great, and there's a lot of people complaining about it. Yeah, that's just the way it is, and I think a lot of these villages are the same.
Whenever I drive around like old places, like especially Easington when I go down my dad's and that, things just look so different now, don't they? From when I remember it as a kid. You know, I remember just down from my dad's where we used to play Kirby, that street where Vic McAndrew used to live. Yeah. When I turn around the car there now, it just looks different as an adult. I don't know, it's just, it's mad, but yeah.
It's mad because there was like a little field near where I lived. Well, there was a big field down the bottom, which is now full of houses, which we used to play on nearly every night. And then there's a little bit of a field near where I used to live. And there was a couple of trees there. And we used to use the trees as the goal. Right. And me and Lammers, you remember? Yeah. We used to knock about around there as well. I can always remember this one day. It was a windy day, and I saw that we were playing football, and he was in goal, diving about and stuff like that. And I've hit this shot, honestly. I was miles out. I was on the road. You know, there's cars like all that. Yeah. They've dodged the cars a little bit. And I've hit this ball, and honestly, it's moved all over. You know, the whole knuckle ball. You're talking 40 years ago, probably 35 years ago. And it's hit the tree, and it's gone in. And I thought, wow. You know, like one of them moments where just sticks out. Like, Lammers was like, well, what just happened there? But yeah, so when I drive past that, it's always in me sort of head, that memory.
I bumped into old Labbas in the 3 Stories in Pt1 a few weeks back. Yeah. I went to see my dad just for a quick pint. He was in there with the lads, he calls them. The sort of 70s and 80s where he's like, I'm going to drink with the lads. 70s and 80s.
Like, I was in there as well.
And I had a bit of crap with him, like, he's a good lad.
He didn't recognise me, did he not? No.
Did he not?
No. He was like, it's our Stu. He was like, you're joking. Good stuff. So, as a youngster, who do you think influenced you most as a kid growing up?
Well, I think my dad pushed me as well. You know, my dad was the manager of our team. Yeah. You know, we had a good football team, you know, good Sunday team. We had a good junior school team with the football. The teacher there, Mr. Venables. And I was a centre forward, and I used to score quite a lot of goals, even with the school team, and then we had the five-a-sides at Pt1 Leisure Centre. But my dad certainly pushed me. You know, I used to get a rough time. I think a lot of us did. You know, he was very tough on us, but he just knew how to get the best out of us as well. And going back to being mentally strong, you had to be, because you would just crumble. You know, if you sort of wilted and sort of, I probably wouldn't have had the career I had. You know, because of, yes, at the time I used to think, oh, wow, what's it, me again, me again, me again. But he was doing it for the good of us, really, in the long run, and it worked. So I'd have to say my dad had a massive impact.
I don't think people realise, you know, obviously I've been coaching for years and years and years, but I don't think people realise the actual real world of football and what it is, you know.
It's all sugar-coated now, you know, all the younger ones now, they want to cuddle, they want to be told how good they are and how, you know, well done this, well done that. You can't say anything to them these days, you know, because they just sort of go down and, you know, you have to go at me again, all that sort of stuff. You've got to be thick-skinned. It's a tough industry, football.
It is.
You know, you've got to be thick-skinned, and I've learned throughout my career to sort of just take it all in and keep quiet and sort of just get along with it.
I think people as well, like I remember Brian Honor when I played for Durham years ago, he knew what I was about. He knew I was a good player and stuff, and we played in a Vars game. And one of them games I didn't turn up in terms of, you know, performing my best. And we got in at half time, and it was a Vars game. I can't remember who it was against, but we were getting beat. And we came in at half time, and he went, you may as well hang that shirt back up on that hanger. He said, because there'll be no sweat on that. And like, you know, at the time I was probably only about 20. And like, you think to yourself, what's he just said? But you just learned to take it because he knew that he needed a reaction out of us.
Well, going back to influences, Brian was a big influence on my career as I got older. You know, as I got into the youth team of Hartlepool, he was massive, him and Billy Horner. But just a quick story while we're on about Brian. I remember in the youth team, and I like me dance music. Well, I like all sorts of music, but I like me rave as well. I went through a spell where I like a bit of rave. I like the DJs and the MCs. And I remember being in a club and this MC sort of said, and a big shout out to Tommy Miller. And I had it on tape at the time. So I remember playing it in the changing room before one of the games or before training or something. The lads at buzzing. I was going, listen to this, lads, listen to this. And Brian heard it. So it stuck to Brian. So going back to a game, we had a game. And I didn't have a great first start. I couldn't tell you it was against. And Brian just lays into me completely. Do you want to be a footballer? Do you want to be a bloody DJ? Do you want to be an MC? All that sort of stuff. And I thought, well, yeah, where's your priorities? You know what I mean? He sort of hit home a little bit. Brian was tough, but Brian was very good.
Yeah, he was.
He wanted the best out of you.
So going back to kind of the Shotton Boys days, obviously, you know, I tell people from a small, they're still going now, aren't they? They're called Shotton Boys, Colts and all that. I was speaking to a lad recently who used to play for them when he was younger, and I said, you know what? I says, me and a mate of mine, our dads kind of formed Shotton Boys. I said, we were the very first grassroots club of Shotton. I said, and we had an unbelievable team. And we did, to be fair, didn't we?
Very good.
You know, you stay in teams like St Hilda's, Hilda Park, Waldridge. We just came from nowhere and all of a sudden started kind of winning things. So for you, that was kind of when we were about 13-year-old is kind of when, you know, Ipswich came along, didn't they? And what was this scout called, Tommy?
Larry Phillips.
Larry Phillips.
I
was telling you, we went to a pub after one of the games, me, you, my dad. It's obviously wanted us both, didn't they? And I remember that day I got cramp. After one of the games, I remember kicking out at the table, and I think the drinks went. But that was kind of the early years when it was probably started for you, wasn't it? So
it was, the scouts started coming to the games because obviously we were doing well. You know, we had a good team. It wasn't just me and you. You know, we had a good team. There was quite a few of us who clubs were looking at, and then the School of Excellences and stuff like that. So, you know, obviously you went to Man United. I had a little spell at Man United as well, and Sheffield Wednesday just to have a little look at it. And then Larry came along, and you know, he liked what he saw and sort of got invited down to Ipswich on trial and went to a few clubs on trial. Went to Sheffield United as well, remember?
Dude, that's right.
Everton, I can't remember if you went to Everton.
Oh,
Sheffield United.
Yeah, I remember.
So we sort of had a good look at it, you know, and decided to sign for Ipswich just before I was 14 as a schoolboy. So the Shotton Boys days were brilliant.
They were.
Well, again, touching back to my dad and your dad, you know, I just remember your dad before the games putting the liniment on the legs, you know, slap a cold ball, and you should just rub that liniment in your legs, and so just to get you going, you know, and slap your legs and just come on, like fire us up a little bit. But it was great memories.
I mean, if you look back at them days, that where they're playing now is where we played.
Yeah.
It had changing rooms, it had a proper railings round, it had a stand.
Yeah.
I mean, kids now, some grassroots, there could be 20 pitches on one area and they're just pitches all mixed together.
It was a
We
great
were lucky,
set.
weren't we,
It was a
really?
great set. I mean, Loggy the grounds is still there.
Is he?
I was playing golf the other week at Castle Eden and he was there. Like,
Wasn't-
I sport him, yeah. It's done a fantastic job up there.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't normally let many junior teams on that big pitch. You know,
Right.
like on the tough field.
Yeah.
He sort of keeps them down the bottom. But I think my dad was in his ear quite a lot and he let us use it.
It was unbelievable.
It was good for us.
We had like all the mums did like a bonfire tea hut. Like, that was never known, you know, at that level. But yeah.
I remember my dad used to do the same thing for the school team and that, you know, like when I was sort of growing up as well.
Yeah.
Do the whole thing with the legs and stuff. And it was called like embarkation or something, wasn't it? The stuff. And I would go,
white stuff.
God knows what that actually was, you know what I mean? No one ever said, what is that white bottle of stuff you've got there? Silly, you're rubbing on kids' legs.
So you signed your 2-year schoolboy. Schoolboys was massive at the time, wasn't it? You know, it was a milestone or a landmark for young, you know, players wanting to make it.
Yeah.
How was your time there? Were you down every 6 weeks and stuff like that?
Yeah, it was nearly every other week, if I'm honest with
Right.
you. More so in the school holidays. Used to go down on the train. Obviously, it's not around the corner. It's a good trek.
Yeah, it is.
So used to go down on the train on a Saturday morning. If I was at school, obviously during the week, I'd get the train down Saturday morning, stay with the family on the Saturday night.
Right.
Lovely family. And then play a game on the Sunday for the under 16s, or it might have been the 15s, depending on how I was doing. Then get the train back home on the Sunday night, ready for school on the Monday.
Right.
So it was quite tough in that respect, but
Yeah.
we're going out to play football. You
Yeah.
know, you were going for a decent team.
There was a chance.
Good set up. There was a chance. There was an opportunity. I could have went to Sheffield United. I could have went somewhere closer, but I just had a good feeling about Ipswich when I was down.
Yeah,
even
it
though
was.
it was the furthest place.
Yeah, it was a good club. I mean, to be honest, it was probably one of them, second or third on my list if he hadn't gone to Man United. So from when you signed your schoolboy forms, how long did you play for Shotton? Because I obviously left it probably under 13, 14 when I went to
I left the
Shotton.
same time sort of thing.
Did you, right?
14-year-old, yeah. I think, and that's when sort of the Shotton boys' days after that sort of dwindled a little bit. You know,
Somebody still take
somebody
charge. Yeah.
took over.
Right.
Yeah. But I think it lasted another couple of years. I think
Did it?
most, and then obviously they reformed in later.
Right.
Being Shotton
Yeah.
Court.
I always wondered about that, like when you actually, your cut-off time was to go,
Yeah.
and it was about that time.
Yeah.
Real.
Who else sort of did well from that team then? Because I remember, didn't you have a keeper who did quite well?
Yeah,
Philly
Philly
Nesbitt, I was
Philly
saying,
Nesbitt,
on Wednesday.
Well, he's at Shields, isn't he? South Shields.
Said, I've got Tommy coming on and Sunday went, class.
Philly was at Sunderland, and obviously I think he sub once, I think, for the first team.
I think so he was.
Warmed up, and I don't think he made the team, so did he?
No.
He was a great goalkeeper, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was, yeah.
Yeah, very good keeper. We had a few, I just think.
Andrew Barber?
Andrew Barber at left back, he was like a steam
Did he
train
go
up and
to
down that
Forest?
left Forest. I don't think he ever,
No.
it might have been just the schoolboy of his own youth team, I'm not sure.
Did you have a China? I want to say Chinese Minetto. That was
I think he's another one who went to Nottingham Forest, because
did.
his dad was at NSK, they moved to Nottingham or somewhere.
Well, the last I heard was golfing.
Was he golfing?
Like doing well at golf,
Right.
But he was
he's
unbelievable, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a goal machine.
He
I
played.
remember him.
I mean,
played-
the
played for
district
Shotton.
team,
Ah,
the district team,
unbelievable.
what team we had there?
It was speaking about when we on the last one.
Yeah.
I said for such a small, you know, compared to the Sunderlands and that, and we used to destroy that. We were lucky that era of players was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Gary Ward,
Yeah.
Michael Watson,
run over there, wasn't he?
Stephen Wilson, James Nesbitt,
I would imagine that sort of
Robbie
district
Liddell.
Robbie
that
Liddell.
district team was Shotton boys, was it?
More or less, really.
Tommy Dunn.
Tommy Dunn, Tommy Dunn,
New York.
Paul Keegan,
Middlesbrough.
you know. So we were lucky, and Tommy was a year younger, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But yeah, we had a really good side. Like.
Paul Keegan, his brother Glenn Keegan,
Yeah.
and is Glenn my age?
Yes.
Paul's yours.
Yeah.
Paul works at Sainsbury's in Sedgefield. Yeah,
Was he?
I bumped into him in there, and I was like,
we was
yeah.
on the golf day last week at Castle Eden.
Right.
I spoke up to him quite a lot, yeah. And
Yeah.
I coached his son. He brought his son down for a little one-to-one session in the holidays. Who's a big lad.
Is he?
Louis, he's called, yeah.
Aye.
I didn't realise that's right.
Aye, and I hadn't seen him obviously since Shotton Boys days, but he's got him and Glenn have got quite a face you remember. And he approached me because I was thinking, that is him, and he came over and he was like, Sonny, I was like, yeah. So we had a bit of crack, yeah.
So Tom, so you Ipswich obviously 2 year schoolboy. So obviously I know, am I right in thinking you didn't get offered a scholarship there, is that
You
right?
get off on a scholarship, so it was just before I was 16.
Yeah.
So you sort of did nearly 2 years. It was tough, you know.
Yeah.
It sort of broke my heart, if I'm perfectly honest with you. I remember the train journey back, being told that Tony Dable was the youth development officer at the time, and they just said, "Listen, we can't offer you anything," you know. And one of the
Were you still small then, though?
I was small, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the reasons was I was too small, and it didn't help that I was in a team with a lad called Kieran Dyer, who everyone knows, and he was special.
Yeah.
Very special. Very fit, could run all day, could play anywhere, and he was a local kid. And listen, he was special.
Yeah.
Very, very good. That train journey home, I remember the time, I think, how am I going to explain it to my mum and dad? And, you know, the scout was with us, Larry was with us on the way back, and it was tough. I was devastated. It was the longest journey ever. Got back. Obviously, your mum and dad try and reassure you and stuff like that. Listen, it's one of them things, you know, something will come up, hopefully something might happen with a lower league team or someone will pick you up. And so I was all set to go to Pt1 college and left school. I was 5'3".
Did you have an agent or not? I know that sounds stupid.
Definitely not that time. My dad sort of did little bits
Yeah.
sometimes. All set to sign at the college, leisure and tourism course. And then Brian Honor rang my dad and he just said, "Listen, why doesn't he come into Hartlepool and train?" That's I'll speak to him and see what he wants to do. So I ended up going out to Hartlepool. But they'd already agreed their intake for the year.
Right.
So there was no more places.
Right.
So they had to apply for extra permission to get another place myself.
Yeah.
I did quite
like on the YUS scheme.
Yeah, the YUS scheme, yeah. Managed to luckily get in there. I mean, it could have been different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So right place, right time. Brian,
what do you think?
Dad gets us down there. And then it worked out well. Do you know what I mean?
Who knows if you'd gone to Pt1 college?
That's what I mean.
If you'd ever had.
I could have played for the college team and could have just played local, non-league.
That's pretty much my journey, innit? And so I was professional schoolboy with Burnley.
Yeah.
And the one thing I wish I had, the form, I remember getting the form, proper FA form, saying you were a professional schoolboy and that, you know, and my dad's probably got that over Burnley's, you know, he's heard about that before. And then 2 years, used to go down in the summer holidays with Chris Brass, Steve Harper, and then Paul Arthur, who was from Merton, Paul Smith. They were a year below. They were both lefties, yeah. And then 2 years, and then got released, so didn't get offered a scholar. And I went to Pt1 college, and I played for the college team, and then I played for Seam Red Star and things like that. So I sort of took the track that you could have took, you know. And that my life took a different. Football became secondary then because it broke my heart. And I was like, you know, to hell with this.
Could be easy, exactly like you just said there. To hell with this. It could be easy for me to just say I'm not going to make it, or my dreams have gone, and I sort of still have a little bit of hope in my head. And listen, I could have went other ways. With a lot of my mates were going out drinking, you know, and that was a time when, you know, they go to the whole big club and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, I used to go every now and again, but you've got to make sacrifices, and I think, depending on how much you want it, and if you believe in yourself, then you've got to give up going out with your mates at certain times. And, you know, you've got to look at the bigger picture and think, like you just said, how much do you want to make it? And I was lucky enough to get a second chance, really, a second opportunity, and I took it.
So did you just sign YTS form?
Signed YTS form with Hartlepool, 2-year YTS. Started to grow a little bit, started to fill out a bit. And like I said earlier, I had good people around us. You know, Brian Honor was fantastic for me. Billy Horner was fantastic for me. Just good guys and some good lads as well in the team. You know, Buster, all that. We'd run through a brick wall. Craig Winstanley.
That's right,
Walton, you know, and a few of them went into the first team. A few appearances. But we had a decent team, but I mean, nothing compared to when you were playing against Leeds youth team and Middlesbrough and Sunderland and Newcastle. There was a massive gulf. You know, I remember going to Leeds, Thorpe Arch, and the team was ridiculous. You know, Paul Holmes in goal, Alan Smith, Woodgate, Hart.
The one that you've talked about.
All them, you know, what a team they had.
It was Little Righty was there.
Matthews, Little Righty was there. And from the corner, we were Little Hartlepool, defending the corner, and all I can remember, like, the lad who was taking the corner, he would shout something like, oh, I'd go like that, 5. And then the next one would be 7, and we're like, our heads are spinning. What is going on? There's movement all over the place. We were just sort of bewildered. They had something.
So you did your 2-year YTS, and then obviously you got offered a pro. Was it how many years pro did you get offered?
Just got offered 1 year pro.
Right.
And again, It was quite fortunate in a way because Hartlepool didn't have any money. And that sounds daft. They couldn't maybe afford. I was on £90. That's what they were offering as a first year pro.
That's what I came on when I
£90 a week. And Glenn Downey.
Yeah.
So Glenn Downey was in the youth team as well, and he was sort of on the fringes a little bit, and he got offered a pro. Now, what happened in the end was because they couldn't fund it or as such because they couldn't take a load on. Glenn's dad, Mike, sponsored.
That's right.
Sponsored the wages for a year, I think it was. Glenn's dad, Mike, hadn't done that. Going back to earlier, I could have maybe not like been kept on, or I might pick up somewhere else. Or so again, I hope Glenn's dad a lot. Mike Downey was a smashing fella, and so he agreed to sponsor it the first year, and then from then obviously pushed on, got in and around the first team, and then did quite well.
I wonder if I joined maybe in your second year pro.
It might have been, yeah.
Yeah, because you were in the first team then.
Yeah, so it probably wasn't.
Yeah,
because I made more of a. Yeah, it was a second year pro when I started made the name, but the first year I was in and around it, getting on and here, there, and everywhere. But second year was the one, yeah.
Crazy.
Bizarre, isn't it?
I was telling our Sonny on the last episode, like I went from, in them days it was good money, 250 quid a week at first year pro at Man U, and then 350 quid a week as a second year
Very
pro.
good money.
And then I came to Hartlepool. I was in the first team on 95. I keep saying, oh, Charlie, I played in League Two as a professional footballer and I was getting £90 a week. He's like,
all Division 3, wasn't it? That's what it was.
There's no way. I said, honestly.
So, all Division 3? That's when it's Champions League 2. There was Premier Championship. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was just Division 1, 2.
1, 2 and 3. It was, yeah, I remember now, yeah.
So obviously you got through into your Hartlepool in the first team. Can you remember your debut with
I can.
Victoria Park?
I can't. Well, my debut came against Doncaster away at the old Bellevue.
Right.
We were getting beat 2-0. They were struggling at the bottom, and I think we're just above them or a few places above them. We drew 2-2. But I remember in the game after about 65 minutes, they had some rough ones, let me tell you. They had, there was a lad called Harvey Cunningham in midfield, and he's just gone through me. And he's caught my ankle. I thought, I'm in trouble here.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was about on the 16-minute mark. And I didn't last the game.
No.
I was out for 6 weeks after that. Done the ankle ligaments.
So that was after your debut?
Yeah. So that was welcome to Division 3 at the time. So I didn't play after that for a while. And then, I'm trying to think of my home debut. Apologise, my memory's losing me. Doncaster was my first full start, away.
Right.
Chester away was my debut.
Right.
Chester away, at the Davis Stadium, yeah. I came on as a sub in that game and we got beat 3-1.
Right.
That was my debut.
Yeah.
And then I played at Doncaster the week after my first start, and that's when I got clubbed. Yeah, tough one. So I was out for 6 weeks after that. Yeah.
So that Hartlepool team, when you got into it, was there any special characters in that dressing room? I know it was probably the same time that I was probably.
Yeah, I mean, hero of mine growing up was Peter Beasley, and I played with.
Yeah.
So Peter Beasley came to the club. He didn't have the legs then, but the quality.
His vision was scary, wasn't it?
Absolute joy.
Well, did you see him as well, did you?
I played with him.
Yeah.
He came to eye to do a little bit, but he hasn't ended up coming in. But I had a big crack with him. He was ridiculous.
Absolutely magic in the early days with him. When I was getting through, he was great. I mean, I used to do all his running.
Yeah.
But just give him the ball.
Vision.
What a player. What a player. And like I say, he was one of my heroes growing up.
Yeah.
Liverpool, Newcastle. He was fantastic.
I remember when he signed, I'm thinking, this is not right. We're not here with Peter Beasley.
Pedro.
Unbelievable.
Class. And he used to, away games, I used to always remember, he used to get on the bus and he used to have his bag and he used to have a carrier bag. And it was just full of chocolate. Chocolate and sweets. And he would munch them. Do you know what I mean? He loved the chocolate part. But he was a special talent. Even at 38, I think he was coming to the end of his career. Like I said earlier.
I remember we had a night out down Hartlepool once. And they used to have a house, didn't they?
Yeah.
For all the towners.
Harold Hornsey's, yeah.
That's right. But I didn't know about this. So we've gone out on the night out in Hartlepool. And somebody must have said, so I'm absolutely blot on Mike.
I think. Was it Iwas?
It was in a nice area.
Yeah, Martin Holland and all that.
That's right. Lads. Yeah. So I'm on this night out. And West Park, that's right. And the next thing I know, I've woke up in a bedroom and I don't recognise the bedroom. And I get up and I'm like, where on earth am I? Right? So, when you lose your mind on the night out, I can't remember getting home. I can't remember the last part of the night. Then all of a sudden, I woke up in this bedroom Anyway, the door's open. It's a nice bedroom.
Massive, though.
The door's open, and I can hear the telly on downstairs, and I'm like, my God, where am I? What have I done, and where am I? Anyway, creeping, trying to be quiet. And I start going down the stairs, and I see this person sitting, eating something out of a bowl. And I'm like, who is that? And where am I? As I get down, I'm still creeping. I look, guess who was sat in the chair? Chris McDonald.
No, no.
He was sitting with his glasses on, Tom, eating some cereal. And I just went, where am I? And he just went, we brought you back. He said you were brought. He said, so we brought you back to the house. But that surreal moment where you don't know where you are is scary. You're like,
some parties back there. There used to be a lot of parties in there back there.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was good.
So obviously Hartlepool was you know, a massive breakthrough for you in terms of,
Yeah.
you know, you scored a lot of goals from midfield.
Yeah.
How did the Ipswich? Did you have an agent by this time, Tom? Or?
Yeah, the agents were certain, as
Right.
they do. You know, they were making phone calls, they were contacting the club. We can do this, we can do that. You know,
Yeah.
sort. The PFA were good.
Right.
You know, I got the PFA involved a little bit as well. I got them there. They were coming into the club and they were saying, well, we can look after you and we don't charge much and all that. And they start giving you Adidas boots and all that, you know, trying to get you on board. A bit of an Adidas deal. I ended up going with Paul Kerr, who used to be from Middlesbrough, who was working for the PFA at the time.
Yeah, he did.
That's so. Remember when there was a few clubs watching and we went to speak to Coventry, met Gordon Strachan at Scotch Corner. I met him, had a good chat with him. Then went down to Ipswich to see George Burley. And then we went to Crewe as well to see Dario Gradi. I think he'd been agreed with Hartlepool and that was my options. Decide what you want to do.
Right.
So I ended up signed for Ipswich, obviously being in there as a schoolboy. They just had a fantastic season in the Premier League.
Right.
They finished fourth, I think it was. They qualified for Europe. So big things were happening.
Yeah.
And I knew that it was going to be a massive jump. You know, I was going from Division 3.
Yeah.
So I knew I wasn't going to go into the team. I was going to have to bide my time and I'd have to learn from the players that were there. But I was willing to do it and prepared to learn.
Was Kieran Dyer still there or not?
Kieran Dyer had gone.
Had he gone?
Yeah, I think he'd gone the year before.
Right.
He's got his big move to do.
Was there any lads there who were there when you went?
No. One of the coaches he was the kit man now. So the coach who was in the 16s, he was kit man.
Was he?
A fellow called Ken Goody. Just jumping forward a little bit. I remember my first day going in to get all my kit. And I saw Ken and he sort of looked at me and his first words were, I knew you were a good player. Yeah, I knew you were going to be a good player or something along them lines. And I think I had a BMW or something at the time. And he went, every day he used to just go, I got you that car. I got you that car. And I saw stuff like that, but smashing fella. Really, really nice fella. But just going back to Hartlepool just quickly, because I feel like I haven't mentioned enough players at Hartlepool. I mean, I mentioned Peter Beasley.
Yeah.
But he was sort of in the earlier days at Hartlepool. As I was coming towards the end and sort of in a good team and scoring goals, the players I had around me were brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, and I wouldn't have had the success if it wasn't for them lads. Yeah. You know, I had Mark Tinker alongside me who would run through a brick wall. Yeah. Who was fantastic. You know, I had an engine on him, box to box, did my defensive work. I had Paul Stevenson, who was an ex-winger, started off at Newcastle and was a winger at Millwall, came to Hartlepool, played centre mid, used to just sit in, used to get on the ball, get us playing, and again, another one who would just do the defensive work for us. I had a free rein. Yeah. Get me forward. Yeah. I had managers Mick Tate, who gave me my debut, and then Chris Turner was obviously got the best out of me. Yeah. And I had free rein to get forward. Get in the box. My job was get in the box. Yeah. Simple. They knew I could finish, they knew I could score goals, but if it wasn't for the players I had around me, then I wouldn't have been given that license or that freedom. So
it was like it was a Lampard role, wasn't it? Really, you know, arriving in the box late.
Yeah, getting in the box. I had a habit, and I remember first breaking into the Hartlepool team, and I wasn't sure what I was. Me personally, I knew I could finish, but they sort of tried us in a few different positions. I was sitting, I was on the right, I was bombing forward. So it was like I was in a crossover with Tate. So he was a bit unsure. I had loads of energy. I was a fit lad, so I had the legs, but I remember playing alongside Chris Beach. Yeah, Beachy, yeah. Who was getting goals at the time. Yeah. So I was sort of sitting a little bit and Beachy was bombing on and I was enjoying it, but I sort of looked at him and I thought, I can do that. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I was wanting it. I was sort of being held back. Yeah. And then when Chris Turner came in, the dynamics completely changed. The formation changed. We sort of played a 3 in midfield. It was more like a 3 at the back, 5-3-5-2 sort of thing.
And then
that, again, that changed.
Your
That's
little-
when the goals started coming.
your little mate arrived, didn't he? Milch.
Midge was brilliant.
He was, wasn't he?
Midge, yeah, he was class.
Oh, he's just big.
He's in Australia.
Is he?
Yeah, I haven't supported for a while, but yeah,
One of the funniest men I've
what a lad. Came from
Obviously,
Bradford.
he did,
Good player, wasn't he?
Was.
Busy forward.
lively, wasn't he?
Lively.
Funny
Lively.
bloke, funny bloke. So, obviously the Ipswich, you took the Ipswich,
Yes.
and done well there.
Did I mean, I didn't get in the team straight away, which I didn't expect, like I said earlier. But I was amongst good players,
Yeah.
good pros. I mean, I'd gone from sort of I say this a lot, watching Match of the Day to being on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which was quite surreal. I'm a lad from Shotton Colliery. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't happen, or it didn't happen, you know, to people like that. And it was mental. You know, we were in Europe. I made my debut in Russia against Torpedo Moscow, which was live on, I think it was Channel 4 at the time, or Channel 5, but Channel 4, Channel 5. And I came on for, I think, the last 5-10 minutes or whatever. And I remember sort of the days leading up to that, and I'm in a hotel in Russia, and we're having a little look around Russia, and I'm saying, what is happening here, Moscow? You know what I mean? It's mental. And then coming on as a sub in the European Cup, and then coming back to Ipswich, I was sort of in and around the reserves. We won the Premier League Reserve League that year.
Yeah.
And I think I played 13, 14 games for them and got a little medal. And again, played against Arsenal. And I remember playing against Arsenal. They had Van Bronckhorst, Pires, Colo Touré. He played midfield that day. And there was one more. I don't know if it was Lundberg coming back from injury. That was their midfield four.
Oh, wow.
In the reserves. You know, so you're learning and you're looking and you're all the time and you're picking things up. And Ipswich was sort of struggling that season. I ended up getting in. My full debut was against Chelsea at home, live on Sky. We drew 0-0.
Right.
And I was a penalty taker, as you know, and we missed the penalty. Marcus Bent took the penalty, and the goalkeeper saved it, Cudicini. I always think back to that day, I'm thinking, I should have took the penalty.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, it was my full debut. I couldn't just get the ball, give us it here.
Yeah.
But I got man the match after the game, so that was something that, and I thought, man, a bit of this, I like this. You know what I mean? You were playing with fantastic players. You were playing against top players, international players, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I always say this as well. The lower leagues is very tough. The lower leagues is a bit like sort of rough and tumble.
Yeah.
You know, you don't get much time on the ball. There's people on you, closing you down. The higher you go, the easier it is. You've just got to be better with the ball.
Yeah, the quality
And you've got to be quicker.
Yeah.
Quality changes, yeah.
Yeah.
But you look on the telly and, listen, nowadays you have all this high press and all that, so you might not get as much time as what you used to. But a few years ago, I used to look, before I went to Ipswich and before the Premier League, before I used to watch it, sorry, and it was like, they get loads of time and space on the ball. You watch it on telly and you think, I could do that. Do you know what I mean? You've just got to be better with the ball and,
Yeah.
and you know what I mean? And quicker with your thinking. And so I found it, I'm not just say it was easy, because it was tough. You're playing against good players, but I found we had more space and more time. You're playing with better players as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Pitches were better.
Pitches were better.
I mean,
Pitches were better. That's a massive.
The year I signed for Hartlepool, Hartlepool West Rugby Club got promoted, so we shared the ground with Hartlepool West Rugby Club. So you can imagine what the pitch was like, and I was trying to play on that, and that I wasn't that type of player.
Tough.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I agree with you.
Yeah.
I probably would have been more beneficial going not as far down as I did from Man United to Hartlepool, where you get a bit more time. It's not as rough and tumble.
Well, that's it. I think it benefited myself, and I think because you're learning the game down in lower leagues, you know, the hard stuff, the tough stuff, the second balls, the tackles, the headers, you know, and all that sort of stuff, which
You're better off coming that way
absolutely.
than that way.
Because I look at academy football now, and we had lads coming on loan to Hartlepool from Newcastle, from a Sunderland, from a Middlesbrough, and I wouldn't say they turned the nose up with it, but they come and they found it difficult.
Yeah, they do.
Because in academy football, and I still think to this day it's the same. It's so passive.
Yeah, it is.
You get the ball, you have the ball, we have the ball. You have the ball, we have the ball. Is there any tackles? There might be every now and again.
Winning's not important.
Winning's not everything. But in them leagues, them lower leagues, when you're fighting to pay bills and stuff like that, it's
win
everything.
bonuses.
It is
100%.
the win bonuses. It's everything.
Yeah,
And you would run through a brick wall.
yeah.
Whereas a lot of these young kids now at academies, too much too soon, they're getting the big contracts. Some of them can retire at 20-year-old, haven't played. They might play 10 games.
Yeah.
Might not even play that.
Yeah.
It's that's where the game's gone.
The game, yeah,
The game has gone.
I agree.
So lads coming on for a few minutes, and they might sign a new deal the next week because they've got potential.
I know.
Potential.
I know.
I've seen so many players, and they're on, 30, 40 grand a week. and they could be, any year's time, they could be out of the game, and they could be millionaires.
Yeah, for sure.
And they've played more games.
I mean, Newcastle are doing a big push at the minute for youth. Their money that they're spending, obviously, the financial fair play, they're putting it on in the youth system from like 14 upwards.
Yeah.
But what they do is the lads who they're buying in, they've got to give them pros built in.
Right.
So these lads, I watched them yesterday, they got beat 3-1. Under 18s, Newcastle got beat 3-1 off Stoke.
Mm-hmm.
Stoke were much better than them. But some of them lads on that pitch are already professionals.
Yeah.
Already, I'm telling you now, they'll be on thousands a week.
Aye, absolutely.
And they'll probably not even, they'll fulfill the contract and they'll get released.
Yeah.
And they've done nothing. They've got potential, don't get me wrong. Some of them might get through and might do well, but what I'm saying is too much too soon.
Yeah, 100%.
It can ruin you.
100%.
And then you're buying the flash cars, then you're buying the designer gear. And who are you?
For me, they would have been better off staying at the clubs they were at, say they were at a Southend or an Oldham, coming through, playing in the National League or League Two like you did, and then coming when you've already had that good founding of that basis of what you're going to play in.
It is as well, because that's coming through, it's hard, isn't it? I mean, the big clubs, it's impossible more or less to break it. You've got to be extra special again in and around the first team.
Of course you do.
It's with the money that's getting branded about, you know, you're buying lads from abroad, 40, 50 millions and stuff like that. It's tough. So I'm like, lads who haven't made games.
Yeah.
Appearances who are getting chuck money at
Yeah.
because they've got potential. But,
scary.
Yeah. Anyway, ran over.
So obviously in Ipswich, you've come through, you started to do well, you're playing in Europe. How did the next chapter go for you after that?
Yeah, well, the first season at Ipswich, like I said, I got in, I think I made about 30, 40 appearances. They got relegated. So we were in Europe, had a decent European run, you know, went into Milan, you know, San Siro, which was surreal. I was sitting on the bench and I'm looking at all these big named players, Ronaldo's and all them, and I'm thinking, what is happening here? And I would see it off shirt at the end of the game, you know, I like to collect the shirts.
Yeah.
And I remember Finidi George played for us, Nigeria.
Yeah, I remember.
He was a bit of a legend. And I remember going to Seedorf, I was like, a chance, can I have your shirt? And he sort of like looked at us and thought, no chance. And it didn't really give us an answer. So I said to Finidi knew him. So I was like, Finidi, can you have a word with him? Finidi had a word with him. He said, yeah, no problem. And give him the shirt. And then I got it that way. But it was just a surreal sort of season. But then the relegation, and in hindsight, Ipswich being relegated was probably the best thing that could have happened to me.
Right.
Because like I said earlier, I was getting in and around it towards the end of the season and stuff like that and getting a feel for it. But Ipswich sort of lost a few players in the summer when they got relegated.
Yeah.
And Matty Collins and stuff like that. Those teams looking at them and, you know, I knew I was going to get more of an opportunity in the championship.
Yeah.
So I knew I had to hit the ground running in pre-season. I knew I had to, you know, be up there and sort of be knocking on the door and saying, listen, you're not leaving me out. And being in the championship was the main was really at Ipswich, because I was in a team week in, week out, and I started scoring goals and I sort of found me level as such at that age.
Yeah.
And loved every minute of it.
So how long did you sign there at Ipswich?
So I was at Ipswich for 4 years professional.
Right.
So the first year was the Premier League, and then the 3 years after that we were in the playoffs, so we're at the top of the league every season.
Yeah.
You know, we got beat off West Ham 2 years on the bounce in the playoff semi-final, which was heartbreaking. I remember we were at the top of the league.
Old Wembley?
Yeah. No, the new Wembley.
Oh, was it the new Wembley, was it?
Semi-finals, we didn't get Wembley.
Oh, did you not?
No, semi-finals. So 2 years on the bounce, we got beat off West Ham.
Right.
And I remember them getting in on the last day. So they had a bit of momentum, where we'd been in and around it all season. We'd been in the top two. We should have gone aboard the money.
Yeah.
We were good to watch. We were sort of free flow and we'd score goals. But problem is we were conceding a few as well. So when the manager in Joe Royal, George Burley, had moved on, he got the sack. You know, he did a fantastic job at Ipswich, but it was time for him to move on, and Joe Royal came in. And going back to what I said about Chris Turner, Joe Royal sort of just got the best out of me.
Yeah.
Seeing what I could do, get forward. I'd free roll, get forward, get in the boxes for a goal.
But that's good managers, isn't it? They know what your assets are.
Know what your assets are. And again, players around me. I had Kevin Orr doing my defensive work. He was brilliant.
Yeah.
I had Jim McGilton behind me who was feeding me the ball. And I had good players around me. And again, it took the best out of me.
Yeah. So did you let your contract run out at Ipswich, or did?
Well, what had happened was that last season we were sort of in the playoffs. Sunderland were sort of in and around it as well. So
Right.
we're flying. We got beat in the playoffs. And Joe, I'd been in to see Joe a few times, and Joe just said, listen, the club was in the middle of maybe getting took over. It was potentially a takeover happening.
Yeah.
And Joe was just saying to me, listen, I can't offer any contracts at the minute. He said, I know you're doing well. He said, because I was desperate to stay.
Right.
I'm perfectly honest with you. I was going in nearly every other
Were you
week.
living down there now?
Living down there, settled.
Yeah.
I loved it. And he just said, listen, my hands are tied as to what I can offer. And I'd be foolish enough to say I can offer X, Y, Z, because I don't know what's happening with this table. It's potentially going to happen. So my contract, I was in a good position potentially, because it was a win-win situation for me. I was doing well. I was on free at the end of the season. I'd scored 15, 16 goals from midfield. So there was clubs watching.
Yeah.
And like you said, I was a freebie. So Ipswich came to the end of the season. He said, listen, we'd love to offer you a new deal. By that time, my mind was more or less made up.
Right.
Because it had been let. If Ipswich had come to me a few weeks before the end of the season, or a month before the end of the season, and said, listen, there's your new deal, I'd have signed it.
Yeah.
But I left it till the end of the season. They left it to the end of the season. By that time, Sunderland were in, Leeds were in, and I thought I need to explore it.
Yeah.
Certainly Sunderland.
Yeah.
Because Leeds obviously just down the road as well, but Sunderland was my hometown club, and sometimes you might not get an opportunity to play for them ever again. And I thought the timing's right. I remember being in Portugal on my holiday. I met Mick McCarthy over there. He was at Algarve at the same time. He was ringing us. He was just saying, listen, we want you to sign, we're desperate to sign, all that sort of stuff. And it was done quickly.
Did you have your kids by this time or not?
No,
No.
I didn't have my kids, so I wasn't leaving anything behind down there. You know,
Yeah.
we moved back up, and I met Leeds as well. I did speak to Leeds, and Leeds were in the Championship, and Leeds offered me more money.
Right.
And Leeds offered me an extra year as well.
Right.
So I could have quite easily gone there. If I was money orientated,
yeah,
I could have went to Leeds.
Yeah.
And I could have gotten more money. I could have had an extra year. But the sort of the fame of playing with Sunderland, you know, from watching as a kid and going to games with my dad.
Yeah, we used to go to the park with our things on the fences, didn't we?
That feel, you know, I'd had to be done, you know. I had to sign to Sunderland, and it was a massive move for me, and a big step back in the Premier League as well.
Yeah, definitely. Were there at the Stadium of Light then?
Stadium of Light, yeah.
Yeah. Was there a point, Tom, when you look back at the Hartlepool breaking through and then Ipswich sort of breaking through and getting regular? Was there a point when you thought, I've made it? Like, I'm here, I finally made it?
I think when I got into the Premier League, or when I made my debut,
I
thought, I love this. This is me, you know. I've done a bit of this. This is what it's all about. This is football, you know. Like, this is top football. You're playing against top players, and I never ever thought I'd made it, because you're only a game away from being out of the team or being forgotten about or being sold. So you had to be on it every day. Once you get there, sort of, I don't know, 50, 100 games, and you start scoring goals, you feel part of it.
Yeah.
You know, you feel this is what football is, and it was the only thing I wanted to do as a kid. And like I said, my dream was shattered early doors, and I came back from it, and I'm just pleased that I had a career.
I mean, I remember when you signed for Sunderland, and for me, it was like, you know, obviously I knew you from when we were this tall together. And for me, it was like, wow, well done, son, carry then, you know, like, what a move that is, kind of thing for you. Especially when we used to go, you know, with your dad and films on the road and the railings at the front. So for me, it was brilliant. So what would you say your best, you played in some of the derbies?
I did. I played in both derbies. Just going back to Sun, I mean, the early start sort of thing. I remember Mick had his hands tied. He didn't have any money to spend, really, or very little. You know, there wasn't much money going around. Hence the reason why probably I was one of a good option on a free transfer. And there was a couple of others that followed suit on free as well, who were out of contract. I remember in pre-season, we went to Holland. We played against AZ Alkmaar. And I remember being in the team, and I was looking to score the goal. I think we won 1-0. But Dean Whitehead was in midfield alongside me. Yeah. Now, Dean is another one who used to bomb forward. He's got energy. He used to love getting forward. I remember, it always sticks with me, this, and from the early days of summer. And I remember Mick saying to me, he was saying, Tommy, you're going to have to sit a little bit. And I'd sort of never been told that since I first broke into the Hartlepool team.
Yeah.
So straight away, I'm thinking, okay, so I'm going to have to adapt my game a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm going from the free-flowing midfield who gets forward, gets in the box, gets goals, to, hang on a minute, come back a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm in my prime here, and I'm thinking, and this is no disrespect to Mick, this is just how Mick managed and how it was going to be in the Premier League as well, because I knew that the jump from the Championship is massive to the Premier League.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to get the chances I'm going to get when I go in the Championship. It's going to be tough. You're not going to get as much sort of space, and defenders are better and all that sort of stuff. Midfielders going to track you better. So Mick sort of reined me in a little bit.
Right.
And I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
If I'm perfectly honest with you.
Yeah.
And after that game in Holland, when I scored the goal, I thought, right, okay, so he's seeing that I can get into the box. He obviously knows, because I played against his team the season before, the Championship and all that, to score against them. And I'm going to have to adapt my game. And it did not suit me.
Very nice.
It did not suit me. And everyone looks at me and goes, you know, it didn't really work out at Sunderland. No, it probably didn't. But I enjoy it. I wouldn't regret it.
Yeah.
Because I scored a couple of goals, not many. I scored 3. But I don't think they got the best out of me.
Yeah.
And that's going back to man management. But I also realised that the Premier League is a lot harder than the Championship. So we were probably the team that was always going to be struggling. If we had finished 4th bottom, it would have been a great season staying up.
Yeah.
And we're not going to have the ball much, and we are going to have to defend for large periods, and you are going to have men behind the ball. So I get all that in terms of I couldn't be a free player or I couldn't just get forward. But I just think Sunderland didn't say the best out of me. Certainly didn't. Certainly didn't.
Do you think there was a bit added pressure with being an North-East boy playing for
100%.
the North-East?
You know, every time we got beat or there was a draw or we didn't do anything well, I got it, but I got a lot of sort of stuff at me.
Yeah. Right.
And that's not just from the outside, which, listen, I ain't bothered about all that sort of stuff. Friends and family as well. You know, they'd be, what happened today? Why did you do that? What's going on there? And hang on a minute.
Yeah, you don't think...
There's another 10 players on the field. You know what I mean? It's not just myself, but...
So did you play there with Danny Higginbottom or not?
No, he was after me.
Was he?
Yeah, he was after me. But it was like, there was a lot of pressure, but I wouldn't change it.
Yeah.
Because I pulled the red and white shirt on, I scored against Middlesbrough, and that was our first win, I think, of that season when we won 2-0. And I remember, well, Mick lived next door to me.
Did he?
So I was renting a flat on Wynyard. Mick was in the door nearby. And just rewinding a little bit, I remember having a look around the area, thinking, right, this is perfect. I'm going to live on Wynyard. So I decided to buy a house, but it wasn't ready for about 6 months. So there was an apartment to rent. So I thought, right, this is perfect. I'll get used to where I am and all that sort of stuff. And I remember the woman showing me around the apartment. And I thought, yeah, this is ideal. I'm happy with this. So just previously driving into where the apartments were, there was gates, sorry, and I've gone through. And as I've gone round, I've just parked in 2 spaces sort of thing. I didn't park properly. But there was loads of spaces anyway. So all of a sudden, I'm looking at the apartment, there's been bang on the door. And the woman's got me. Bizarre. Another bang like that. So she's gone to the door, and he's Mick at the door. And I'm sort of in the background like that. And he's going, and literally, I've only been signed a couple of weeks. And he's going, am I moving your effing car?
Did he?
I went, sorry, guys, I was in your, well, you're on, they'll move your effing car. What that?
Did he?
I thought, wow, what a start this. What a start for us. And then the next day in training, he's telling the lads, he went there, I had Tommy yesterday, I was winding them up and saying, he didn't wind me up. If he could get through the door, he probably ripped me up. But he was a great bloke, and I lived next door, and there was a few nights where I was sort of sneaking in a little bit because I didn't want the door, you know, the doors were sort of opposite each other.
Were they?
He used to drink in the stables pub. So I'm good friends with a lad who's got it. So if there was a few of us in there, he would say, Mick's on his way. We used to scarper out the back. But it just because he probably bought us a pint as well because he was that sort of bloke. But yeah, so that was just rewinding the clock a little bit. Yeah.
So sorry, Stu, when you first started, Tom, I often think, I mean, I'm a season ticket holder. We spoke about we'd been down to the playoff final and that, hadn't we? And so we go every week, and the atmosphere at the beginning of a game. What was that like, Tom? The first time you walked out?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. You know,
goosebumps and stuff.
I mean, like you just said, we go supporters, and it's frightening. It's unbelievable. You know, when that music comes on and you're walking out that tunnel, the hairs on the back of your head, you know, it is special. And it is and when it's good, there's no better place. It's rocking, it's bouncing. The fans are unbelievable. When it's bad, like a lot of other places, it can be
toxic.
Can be toxic.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Poison.
Yeah.
Which, listen, they pay their money for, and listen, I'm not saying I was like that because I'm quite laid back sort of character when I watch the games and stuff, and I sort of keep the opinions to myself. Whether that's because I've played the game, I don't know. But it can be toxic. And going back to my early years, if you're not thick-skinned and you're not mentally strong, you could crumble.
Yeah.
So you've got to be resilient, and you've got to push your chest out, and you've got to just get on with it. You know what I mean? And there's times when the team's getting booed and you're getting beat 1-0, and it's hard. It is hard, but just get on with it.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So did you have your kids whilst you played for Sunderland?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I did.
Okay.
I did it was in the second year. So yeah, that was 2006, and then I ended up moving back to Ipswich. Only a few months old.
Just about to come on, yeah. So I've often wondered this as footballers, like you do a lot of moving about, don't you?
I do.
You know, and there's probably a lot of house selling and stuff like that. That can't be easy.
No, it's tough. It is very tough. And you have people at clubs who, sort of the higher you go, who help you with all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But I moved around a lot.
Yeah.
I did. Pickfords have had some money off me, the removal company, let me tell you. And they're not cheap. They've moved us from Ipswich to here. They've moved us back down to Ipswich. They've moved us to Sheffield. They've moved, where else did I move? But now the big move. Swindon, I went to Swindon by myself, actually. So Swindon's another story, which we'll touch on later on, probably. But I've had some moving around.
Who was in that team, Tom, that Sunderland team at that point there?
Stephen Elliott, Liam Lawrence, Dean Whitehead. We signed a couple of Litalic. Remember him, Litalic?
Yeah.
Litalic, who was a real talent, coming through, but again, didn't quite work out from at Sunderland. It didn't work out for a lot of the lads. It wasn't just myself. A lot of the lads sort of, I wouldn't say struggled, just found it hard. I think what I found was on the pitch, I thought we needed help, we needed more, we needed better.
Yeah.
In and around you, we were probably top end championship, with the exception of a couple of players. Did quite well. I think Liam Lawrence did quite well in the Premier League. Scored a couple of good goals. He sort of, Dean White, they did all right. There was a few who come out with flying colours, but not many. Not many. It was tough. Gary Breen was the captain. Kelvin Davis, and Kelvin Davis he came on Ipswich with me. He was the best keeper in the championship by a straight, and he came to Sunderland and struggled.
Yeah.
But John Stead scored goals all throughout his career. Came to Sunderland, struggled. So, like I said, it wasn't just myself; it was a collective. And if we all hold our hands up, we just weren't good enough. At the end of the day, you can sugarcoat it. You can say this happened, we didn't have this, we didn't have that. We just weren't good enough.
I think certain clubs come a big expectancy, though. And Sunderland's one of them.
Massive. But I look at Sunderland now. Obviously, fantastic. Them getting promoted last season, brilliant. I was at the playoff final. It looked like they weren't going to. It wasn't going to happen. 60 minutes, made these substitutes, changes the game a little bit, and they score the last minute win, and the rest is history. Look at the team now. Yeah. Completely changed, completely overhauled, and for the better, because the keep saying this, I keep jumping back. The championship of the Premier League is a massive step, and if he didn't make all them changes, Sunderland could have found themselves in a similar position to when I was there. But they had money to spend. They had money to spend. That is the difference. And he's done brilliant. He's found some players there who probably no one else would have looked at. Really? The goalkeeper.
I mean, for me, obviously, I worked with Dan Neil and Pat when they were younger coaching.
Very good players.
It's hard to see them like that, where they've helped the club so much, but that's football.
That's football. You've got to move on. Yeah. I mean, listen, they could do well in the Premier League. Don't get me wrong. They might get in and around it and might do well, but I just think it needed something else. Yeah. And
statistics tell you if you don't
sort of on top as such, you'll come a cropper.
I was going to ask you both about that. And I know football's cutthroat. I get that, but really, there's just a couple of players. Try Hume, Chrissy Riggs just broke back in.
Yeah.
Dan Ballard's
in and
around.
Yeah.
But other than that, Wilson Isidore, Mayenda.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's kind of it is a new team.
Yeah.
So the players like Dan Neil have been really loyal, and I think he's going to sign a new contract from what the rumours are, and give it a go. You've got the likes of Luke O'Nien and players like that. They will get a shot. Like Chris Riggs got a shot, and I think he played well.
Yeah,
I think he played well yesterday. Yeah. And he got 30 minutes the game before, and then got took off. I know it's cutthroat, but do you think that almost that full team, is that too much in your view, or was it something you had to do? Otherwise, the club's just yo-yoing.
It's one of them. Who knows? Do you know? Yeah. The lads who got them promoted could have went in the Premier League and could have done all right.
Yeah.
But I think the lads he's bought are doing better.
Yeah.
That's just from that side looking in.
Well, you can't knock them because they're sitting first.
So where they are, absolutely.
If they were rock bottom, you could easily say should have kept the lads what it means to them.
Then what happens is if the manager does that and they're struggling, he loses his job.
Yeah.
So he's thinking probably ahead. And he's thinking we need better. The Premier League's a massive step. if I don't get these players in, I'll lose my job. Do you know what I mean? Because we might struggle.
Yeah.
And there was games last year in the Championship where you thought, they're doing great, by the way. Do you know what I mean? There was certain games they struggled and they got a little bit lucky in certain games. And in the playoff final, to a certain extent, they got lucky.
Yeah, it could have been.
Because it could have been outside. I mean, when you touch on passing, what a save, by the way, in the first minute. Yeah. That goes in. One of the best saves I've seen. A
VAR goal, if that gets...
Exactly. Yeah. See, that's what with his legs at 1-0 as well. They could have went 2-0. Yeah. So big moments from... He's been brilliant for the club, you know, but he's not getting an opportunity in the Premier League. Well, that's football.
And I think you hit the nail on the head earlier. The word was you found your level where you're thriving.
Yeah.
And I think with Dan and Pat, if they're not happy sitting on the bench, they've got to go and if that means going back to the Championship where they're going to play every week, and that's what they want.
Yeah.
You know, some people are happy just to sit on the bench and pick up good money in the Premier League.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Some people aren't want to play.
Listen, in a few weeks' time, they might get in the team.
Yeah.
And they might do well. You know what I mean? And we'll all be thinking, well, yeah, in our words a little bit, but if they get an opportunity to stay in the team, I hope they do. Yeah. You know, because they're local lads and they've done well for the club.
Going back to something you said earlier on, Tom, about you went to Ipswich and you had good players around you and you were learning from them. I think last season, if you look at Dan Neil didn't have anyone really to learn from last season. He was captain of the club, and there was a lot of expectations
on his shoulders.
And at times he tried too hard and he tried a big pass.
Carrying the weight.
He's now playing with Xhaka,
unbelievable.
That Noor Siddiqui, Habib Diarra. They're all right, they're only young. Xhaka's not, but the others are young, but they've played at a high level. Yeah. So he's got to be learning week in, week out from better players than being the best and having no one around him. Like, so I think Dan Neil
being captain, being young, you know what I mean? And some games he was outstanding. Yeah. A lot of the season he was outstanding, you know what I mean? And I think it was only towards the end where his form dipped a little bit. It happens, you know what I mean? And I'd love it. I don't want anyone else to get in the Premier League and get in the team and stay in the team. I hope he gets an opportunity.
Yeah. I watched a couple of games with you last year, and I said you after the game, mate. I hear a lot of fans in the stand, and I think we said he hasn't got a clue about football. I watched them 2 games. He was the best player on the pitch by a mile. Yeah, he just ran the game, you know. Like you say, he had a little dip towards, but I've known him since he was like 8, 9 year old, and he's an absolute diamond of a kid. And like, I'd love to see him get a little bit of a chance. Yeah. You know,
when I was at Spennymoor and we played Sunderland and he played and he was the best player on the pitch. And at the end of the game, I was in a John Newton and I just said, John, listen, I want him on loan, like, come play men's football at Spennymoor. And he said, well, he's sort of in and around it a little bit with the reserves and all that. He was only a young kid. He was brilliant. Best player on the pitch.
He just had, you know, it is with Danny, had a footballing intelligence, even a 12-year-old. You know, kids, the tactical side of the game, they don't get it. Some don't get it till they're in the 20s. He had it at 12-year-old. He used to tell people where they needed to go. And unbelievable. Right?
And it's interesting that you said that the quality goes up, Championship to Premier League, but actually potentially a bit more space, a bit more time, which Dan would probably flourish with that, because he can pick a pass out and he can dictate the rhythm of the game. You know, it might suit him when he gets his... And he'll get his chance in December, won't he, when we were talking earlier on, Tom, the African Cup of Nations. It's a few going from that midfield. So it'll be back to last season, I think, at midfield in that team.
I did not foresee this happening with Sunderland. And I said, we did a podcast months ago, didn't we, when I said, if they finish 4th bottom, it will be an unbelievable season if you can just steal 4th bottom. They're sitting 3rd after 6.
Unbelievable. I think getting Xhaka in the door was massive.
Yeah, massive.
Because everyone was sort of raised eyebrows when he came in. It was taught like, going to side of something. What? Wow. What a player. He's only 32. Years has gone behind him where he used to get sent off. He was reckless at times. He's just fantastic.
He's Rolls Royce on Sky Sports. They said he's been like a Rolls Royce.
What a player, what a player. Massive. And then you see him signing and then others want to follow. You know, I'll have a bit of that. Something to go in places or something to try to do something.
It was a catalyst, wasn't it? It almost felt like they needed to get the Xhaka deal done and then everything else would fall into place.
But the lads that Diarra and Siddiqui, man, they've got legs, they've mobile energy.
Need legs.
Can you remember the old joke? It was about Kante, you know, the Chelsea player. Well, that's now, obviously there's a lot of stories around him being there's no Sadiki being like him. And
Right.
someone put the old one on the other day saying 71% of the earth is covered by water, the rest is covered by no Sadiki.
How many years were you at Sunderland then, Tom?
2 years.
2 years. And then obviously back again, did switch?
Yeah, I had 2 years in there, Sunderland. Obviously, Mick lost his job, unfortunately, smashing fella. Now, Quinn did a few games.
Right.
Didn't really want the job. And then Roy Keane came in,
Yeah.
which was eventful. The second season was a championship. I think I played the first 3 games, and we played Plymouth at home, and we got off to a bad start, if I'm honest with you. And again, I get injured, got caught on my ankle against Plymouth, had to come off. I was out for 6 to 8 weeks with ankle ligament damage. Within that time, Roy Keane comes in,
Right.
takeovers happen, there's loads of money getting spent. So while I'm sitting on the treatment table, you've got Graham Kavanagh coming in, great lad, Cav. Dwight York came in. Dwight York played midfield.
Drunk back a bit.
So, yeah. Liam Miller came in.
Yeah.
Obviously, passed away.
Yeah.
And now, which is really sad. So I'm sitting looking at all these players coming in. I'm thinking, I just wish I was fit. You know what I mean? It was timing's everything, and it was bad timing for me on a personal point of view. Roy came in, he sort of shook everything up, winning games a little bit, and obviously got him promoted at the end of the day. I got back to fitness, in and around it a little bit, but I wouldn't say didn't get an opportunity. I think the team was just doing that well.
Yeah.
And sort of climbing, and there was a good feel around the place. From a personal point of view, it was tough. Twins were just born as well.
Right.
So they were in hospital for about a week. They were premature, so there was a bit of a tough period going on there.
Yeah.
Which not many people see, you know what I mean? Like the personal side of things. So that was difficult. Like I said, getting in and around it, playing in the reserves and scoring, but I couldn't have done any more, put it this way.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel like I was getting anywhere further forward. So I ended up going on loan to Preston,
Right.
which was in the same division. And I tell the story quite a lot. Preston were playing Sunderland when I was there. As part of my agreement, there was nothing in it saying I couldn't play. And I think it was probably fourth or fifth game for Preston, and we were playing Sunderland at the stadium. All right. So I remember all week, Paul Simpson, the manager of Preston, kept saying to me, "Have you had anything from Roy? Have you had anything from Sunderland?" I had nothing. Like, there was nothing in this agreement to say that you can't play.
Right.
I'm like, okay, that's business as usual. I'm playing. So we went up the stadium, like Preston. Bizarre, really strange feeling. Being on loan from Sunderland, playing for Preston against Sunderland, but everyone knows what Roy Keane's like. He's not bothered, is he? You know what I mean? Me playing for Preston is not going to change the world. Anyway, we win 1-0, and I had a good game. I did well.
Yeah.
And I heard from a few of the lads, obviously after the game, Roy's in the changing room at half time, blasting them, going ballistic, saying one of their best players is really one of ours and all that sort of nonsense. And we win 1-0, and I think he recalls us the week after, but I mean, it was on the bench, and I was in and around it, bits and bobs, but it was surreal that moment, because he puts it in his boot, actually. Roy, about one of his earliest mistake, but sort of learning curves and as a manager early on, that allowing me to play against his someone from Preston. But
how did you find him, Tom?
I mean, we all know Roy Keane, the player, and he was brilliant. You'd want him alongside you, wouldn't you? You want him in the trenches where he was. I don't think he gets the credit. He was a fantastic player.
Yeah.
Box to box. Everyone goes on about what position are you now? Are you a 6? Are you an 8? Are you a 10?
I know.
It's all nonsense.
Yeah.
He was everything.
He was.
And before he was Brian Robson, I think Roy Keane was as close to Brian Robson, that sort of era. None of this 6, 8 and 10.
Okay.
In midfield, you can do both. Get forward, get back. And he was that.
Yeah.
And as a manager, I just think, I wouldn't say he was a bully. Bully's been the wrong word. He liked confrontation. So he liked having a go at you, but he liked people having to go back at him.
Right.
And there was a few fisticuffs along the way in training, and there was a few, come on, I'll see you in the boxing gym or whatever. He loved boxing. So there was a few of the lads had a few ding-dongs with him, and I think he liked that. I think he thought more of you.
Right.
Whereas he was sort of, I'd say he was having to go at me, but I was probably an easy option, because I had other things going on with like I said, with the kids just being born. They were in hospital. I had a few, my head was all over the place a little bit for a few weeks. I was scrambled, and I wasn't giving him much back. I wasn't really knocking on his door and banging his door and saying, why aren't I playing? Yeah. I was sort of in easy mode, really, which I look back and thought, should have been a bit more forceful or a bit more demanding, or have a go back at him or get into him, and why aren't I playing?
Yeah.
But
yeah, I know what you mean.
Maybe it's one of, not regret, but I just look back and I think, hindsight, if I was a bit more that way at that time, would you have thought more of him?
I remember when we were at Man United, and a Friday they used to do like 11v11 setups for the games.
Yeah.
So they would always need one or two of the youth team players to just be a number
did a lot of
and run about.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember going down at the Cliff training ground. You would go in on a morning on a Friday, and as you go down the stairs, they had like a board, and they would have the teams up, and you would look for your name. Partly you didn't even want to be involved because you used to shit yourself. But secondly, if you were involved, you used to just look and say, "Please don't be on Roy Keane." And there was a couple of times I was, I know exactly what you mean. Like we were only like first or second year scholars. We 16, 17, and if you gave the ball away in the game, my lord, he wasn't bothered. He wasn't bothered, even though you were only a scholar. And I think it was his way of like, if you can't deal with that, you shouldn't be at Man United.
We used to do the keep balls every morning, standard, so our little keep ball boxes and stuff like that. And he used to join in, and no word of a lie, he used to fire the ball at you so hard, and if you couldn't deal with it, he was, like you just said, he was on you. But I'm not talking like a firm pass. This was like as if he was just trying to catch you out.
Yeah.
You know, like proper fire at you. And if you couldn't deal with it, he'd have a right go at you. And he just blasted us from like 2 yards away. What am I supposed to do?
So imagine what them standards were like at Man United in that when they were winning everything. Like
The standards were mega. Must have been. What
do you think? He's kind of moved away from management a little now. There's rumours that he's going to, take a job again and that, but he's almost become the top pundit, hasn't he?
He's brilliant.
Yeah.
He's brilliant on TV. I mean, a lot of people can't stick him. A lot of people do like him because he just says it how it is.
He does.
He's very sort of just. He puts it out there.
Yeah.
He's not afraid to frighten, to scare anybody, or you know what I mean. He's just he says it how it is. And it's funny because when he was manager, certainly at Sunderland, he used to say it like, "There's all these people on TV talking about football." He used to hammer people he used to hammer the pundits. Now you can't get it off the telly.
No.
He's on everything.
He's on everything.
He's on the overlap. He's on all sorts of stuff, which is good TV and good. He's good to watch, and I do like listening to him and stuff like that. But he's on everything, so he's contradicted himself a little bit. Maybe it's because he hasn't get back into management, and I think it'd be a strong chairman or a strong ownership to take him because he's that demanding. You know, I can imagine when he was at Sunderland, he was very demanding. He was wanting this, he was wanting that.
Is it not the time though now? And people think I'm crazy for saying
Man United to have him.
Yes.
I know.
Let's get him in. He is the whole.
I know.
He's the heartbeat of Man United. He knows what it takes to win. He's a winner.
Yeah.
He loves the club. There's no doubt about it because he hammers them. He's probably hurting. So get him in.
Yeah. It's freedom. I know. Absolutely. I agree with you.
In his book, though, when he left Sunderland, chairman at the time, I can't remember the chairman's name. Anyway, it doesn't matter. He rang him up and he was like,
Sure, was it? No.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
I think
it was.
Guy where
It was, yeah. And he rang, and this is in Roy Keane's book, and he said, yeah, there's rumours that you're not there every day and all this type of stuff. Kind of having a go at him about being at the club and stuff. And he went, oh, well, I'll tell you what, I'll just leave. And kind of the conversation was done. Ellis Shaw didn't even ring him to sack him.
Nice.
But in a conversation, because he dared to have a go
at
at his management or he's, been there and stuff like that, he just went, well, I'll just go.
Do you think that's something?
And I think you're right. Strong. If you're Ratcliffe and people like that, it could destabilise the club as well. As much as it could bring Man United back together, it could be chaos as well, couldn't it?
It's a gamble you're going to have to take, isn't it?
Yeah. I think, it's Sunderland and certainly Ipswich, because he came to Ipswich when I was there as well towards the end. He didn't really do many of the training sessions. He's assistant manager to Tony Loughlin. So Roy would normally just sit on the ball and just watch and study and look at everything. And then obviously he would step in and have his little sort of say if things weren't great, and he'd stop training if it wasn't good enough. The standards, what he, like we said, as a player was massive, and he just wanted to see him. And he probably didn't realise that some of the players couldn't reach the standards what he wanted.
Yeah, that's
because he was, and that's probably why I wouldn't say he's failed as a manager because he had success at Sunderland, but went to Ipswich, spent a lot of money. Didn't happen for him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, he's sort of gone into the punditry thing, but his expectations are so much higher than probably what the players' standards are.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Quality is.
That's what was said about his stint at Villa as well, wasn't it? He didn't he go in as like assistant manager or something at Villa?
Yeah.
And Villa players just said, yeah, that was it. Yeah. Said he just slated them constantly because they just weren't at the level
what he
expected.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And a lot of those Man United players right now will not be at the level that he would expect. So, yeah.
And they're not. They're not, are they?
Not.
And that's why I think it hurts him so much when he sees them getting hammered. Like he's saying, they're not Man United players. So I know what it takes to be a Man United player, and that's not his kind of
Well, I'll
thing.
get your opinion on that now, then you two. You've both got your UEFA sort of badges and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So we're talking about elite here, elite management. So the Man United manager, this Ruben Amorim, this steadfastness around his formation feels to me, from an outsider and someone who hasn't managed and stuff like that. I manage people, but I've never managed footballers. It feels naive. It feels like that elite level, you've got to be able to react and change. And do you know what I mean? What do you think about?
It's almost him asking to be sacked. If I'm perfectly honest with you,
I agree with you. So he gets his money.
Absolutely,
100%.
he is not changing his formation, and it's for everybody out there looking in. He has to change it. It is not working. Either that being the personnel or the players he's brought in or the ones that's there. It is not working.
Why does he bring a centre half of him?
Why does he bring
every game? I don't get that.
I don't. Back in the day, or years ago, or even other teams, they never ever change your back four.
No, you
don't. 3.
No.
That's one of your fundamentals. You know what I mean?
Oh,
It's just settle there, your defence. Why change it in 60 minutes?
He does it all the time.
All the time.
And it's a different back three each game as well. It's not like there's a settled 3.
There's no like sort of
Brentford matched them and put 3 forwards on their 3. Straight away, they knew what they were doing.
Exactly. So you know how they're going to play week in, week out. So in preparations, your planning and all that sort of stuff. That he's just not having it, is he?
No.
At all.
If you watch him, though, the body language is getting worse.
It's worse and worse, isn't it?
He is asking to be sacked. Like,
I think he will. I think he will get sacked.
Can it continue?
You can't. I felt when he came into the club, he's a good looking guy, Portuguese, and he had his chest out, and he was now. He's hunched, he cowers down
all the time.
Yeah. He looks lost. Yeah. He's done well in Portugal, wherever he's been beforehand, but it's a different ball game.
This is why the next, if there's going to be a next manager, it can't be a young up and coming who's done well in the country. It's got to be an experienced manager who's managed at the highest level, has managed massive clubs.
Yeah,
it has to be.
Yeah.
Get Jurgen Klopp. Go and get Jurgen Klopp. I'm telling you now.
Need someone here.
Would you ever? Would you
see it?
Ever?
I can't see it. But you never know.
He gets slated, doesn't he?
Oh.
Yeah. But here's a prediction for you. Whoever goes in there will revert to a back 4. Like, undoubtedly, they've got to.
Yeah.
And the defenders they've got, and they've got some decent midfielders, and they've got real... I think whoever comes in it'll be an instant hit.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because the players are there.
Yeah.
They're just... And this thing of buying players for him to fit a formation and trying to make players fit into a formation when they don't, that seems just totally like illogical.
Yeah.
And blaming the players, they're not capable of playing his system, but don't play that system. No. That's just madness, isn't it?
How we can pick a Gardy over Kobe Mainoo, I will never know. I will never ever know. Yeah. And that's, again, what you've just said, is he doing it to get the saff?
The longer it goes on, that's exactly how it looks.
Because there's no way you can play Gardy ahead of Kobe Mainoo in terms of what he brings to the team. Kobe Mainoo can do everything better than Gardy, everything. But why would you play Gardy instead of him?
Yeah. Because that's the most emotive decision, because he's a local lad who, he broke into the England team, he was flying, wasn't he? So if you want to make a decision that's going to get everybody mad and angry and frustrated, it's the Kobe Mainoo one, isn't it? Yeah. The local boy who we won't play.
Yeah.
So maybe you're right. Maybe it is for that. But that was digressing anyway. I just wanted to get your opinion on football. That's spot on.
So just to finish off, then, when you were speaking as Roy Keane and stuff, and you knew it was going to be kind of time up, how did you feel around that? Was you back here?
Yeah. Obviously, I had twins, and they were 6-7 months old. There was talk that Ipswich wanted to sign me. I was coming to the end of my contract with Roy. The team were doing well. I was in and around it. I was on the bench, but not really getting an opportunity. But the team were doing well, so I understood. So the team got promoted. Before that, I'd come back from Preston. Ipswich wanted me to go on loan. It was around about January time. So I remember being in the office and Roy and Jim, Roy's Republic, Jim's Northern Ireland, so they don't like each other to start with. So I just remember being in the office and they're on the phone to each other and they are effing and blinding at each other like you'd never believe. And they're saying all this stuff about Irish going deep, really deep. Because Jim's wanting to sign me. Roy's saying, well, I didn't want me to go to Ipswich and all that sort of stuff, nonsense. It got a bit messy. So I ended up just staying, and partly because I didn't want to go out on loan again, and because my kids were so little.
Yeah.
And I've got family up here. So I thought, I'm just going to hang fire at the end of the season here. So I was in and around it. Sunderland got promoted, which was fantastic, but I didn't feel part of it, really. I had a little bit part of it there, but very little. When that was up, I knew I was going. And then it was a different sort of scenario in the summer. You know, the kids were a lot older, not a lot older, but they were sort of growing a bit. And I ended up coming back to Ipswich. Jim was the manager, Jim McGilton. I could have signed for Leeds again. Leeds came in for me. Dennis Wise was the manager. Oh, yes. I remember going to meet them. And then Ken Bates was the chairman. It's quite funny, this, because I was sat in their office with Poyet and Wise, and in marches Bates. And he just went up to me and went into my face, and he just went, if you don't have to sign for this time, I know what school your kids go to. Sort of like laughing and joking. Yeah, but laughing and being a bit. And I'm like, well, my instant reply was, well, you'll have a hard job because my kids are only 6 months old or 7 months old at the time. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, they offered me a great deal, and I could have stayed in the house where I am. Sort of, wouldn't have to move. The family could have been. The wife could have had help, obviously, with the little ones. Being twins, with twins, it's hard, very hard, you know. So she could have had support from both sets of families from up here. And I remember speaking to Jim, and he was desperate for me to get back to Ipswich, and I was good mates with Jim McGill, and I still am.
Yeah.
And I ended up going back to Ipswich, which I said earlier, I'd never regret anything, and I enjoyed my time back there again. I managed to score a few goals, and I had a couple of years there. I could have went to Leeds, and I wouldn't have had to uproot the family again and all that sort of stuff, and I would have been playing for a massive club, Leeds, a really big club, but they had a few financial things going on behind the scenes as well. There was a bit of uncertainty about them. It was the season where they started with -5 points or something like that, so it's already going to be a bit of a task. But Jim was the main reason why I went back.
Perfect. Well, let's leave it there for part one.
Yeah.
And don't forget, though, part two, we've still got...
Parts. There might be
parts, yeah.
Probably on our,
We've still got...
The canny ought to speak about.
We've still got Swindon, Huddersfield, Chef Wed, and then we've got obviously your management, your little foray into management as well with Spenny and South Shields and stuff like that. So, well done, Tommy. Thanks very much, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Thanks, pal.
Enjoy it, lads. Enjoy it. It's good.